Hello and welcome to Royale Without Cheese, our bi-weekly podcast in which we discuss both the classic and the unknown of Hollywood and foreign cinema from the then and now. We are your hosts, me, Miguel Aido, Leonardo Miranda,
Hey there.
and Tomás Ferreira.
Ho ho ho, Merry Christmas everyone.
Three filmmakers in an informal dialogue with a film review each episode. As part of our Xmas Tale reviews in both English and Portuguese will be available for different listeners. Today's episode will be in English, and we'll be having a go at Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life. Portuguese speakers can head to the Portuguese labeled content section. Now, sit back and enjoy.
Enjoy. Here comes
Enjoy the
Santa
show.
Claus.
Enjoy.
Okay, Merry Christmas everyone. Here we have our Christmas special, right? Starting off with It's a Wonderful Life. So, what do you think, fellas? What were your thoughts on James Stewart on this one? I know that Mike has some feelings towards his voice, his gravelly voice.
Yeah, it's hard to understand what he
I don't
says
understand what he
sometimes.
says. He's actually pretty mean in this film, to be fair. I think his performance range. We have started the channel with Vertigo, and I think I always thought of his personality as the good man, right? To be criticized or put in question by Alfred Hitchcock, but right here in Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life, you very much see a cruder side of him. Of course, he's mainly a very noble, honorable man in for the family, for the community, but I like, when he is very at his most frustrated, you can see the underbelly of almost an abusive father. I don't know. You feel like if you won't kick the children, he'll kick the furniture. Like,
I think it's interesting because my perception of the film was that he was like almost like cartoonishly good. Like he was such like this pure figure of just being good and doing good and putting himself in front of everyone. And he does that. Like he's super altruistic, but at the same time he still has these moments where he's a bit of a hassle or he's a bit mean to someone or a bit annoying. And I think it's good because it makes the character more real and complex, but you still feel like he's a good person regardless, even if he has these moments like when he starts just kicking the shit out of his house when he's super mad. The kid is playing piano.
and you feel that in that scene, I think it's very interesting how Capra conducts the whole mise en scène, because he gets in the house and there's not just one scene, one moment of him being in the living room with the children and then spilling out what is wrong with him. He goes to several places inside the house, running around with his own shenanigans, and his whole energy and attitude just goes across the whole environment. He goes to the living room. The children are all, you know, conducting this different energy, this attitude that is all Christmassy. And I think Capra more than once across the film, does this thing where a whole crowd of people has one type of energy, which is maybe happiness, really hyped up, and meanwhile, two other characters or the main protagonist is feeling another thing, and the subtext tells you that he is frustrated. Like when he meets his brother, he reunites with his brother on the train track because he comes back from the war. He expects him to take up the job of leading the company, the business that he inherited from the father. But hey, he's married and he actually has already a job. So you read that through and through his face, while everybody else is very happy and content that, oh, business is going fine, it's going well, ho ho ho, that kind of stuff. And so that dichotomy that is in the subtext in more than one scene is very interesting and very difficult to conduct as a director. I mean, the mere thought that you need like an orchestra almost, conduct different actors to do all these different actions that represent the whole of an attitude is complicated and intricate. I think, you have the child on the piano, Then you have the child that has the rose that she's trying to put together, a fake rose. And that's the another thing, he goes up, and then you have the child who is on his lap trying to, get him up and running, and then he hugs her because he knows that he's about to lose the company. He goes upstairs, the other kid puts the petals in his pocket, pretends that he has, helped her with the rose, comes back down, discussion with the wife in the kitchen. So it's very frenetic, and to that degree, I think he really is able to keep the scene fresh and present new challenges to the viewer as per the dramatization of what's going on in his head. What did you think? I mean, did you feel the same?
I thought it's a wonderful film, but I mean, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite of the kind. In a sense, well, I mean, you have to look at it from, the time it was made, so I guess it's very grounded. It's a very grounded film. But probably in being so effective, it served as a formula for other films that came after it, I think. Which is something I had to reflect on afterwards because, I mean, if you exclude the fact that other sorts of films have done this sort of thing, then yeah, it was pretty groundbreaking to see this sort of tale. I mean, the characters, this case, just Jimmy Stewart, as this guy who then goes through difficulties and sort of redemption arc that he goes through in the end. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of extraordinary elements that would make it a different kind of story, really. But I think that in being so grounded with the story that it's trying to tell, I think it works really well. But yeah, that's what I thought generally of the film.
Yeah. And it's got a similar idea to the Scrooge one, the Charles Dickens
Yeah,
one.
Christmas Carol. Because, even it's that thing, it's I don't even know if it is that groundbreaking in terms of setting up a formula for the films that it precedes, but because you have
No, I didn't say groundbreaking. I said grounded.
grounded, okay. But you have Christmas Carol, which is from the 19th century, so it's kind of you go into this film. I went in already expecting that this starts with Christmas, and there's going to be some supernatural phenomena. He's going to go back in time. He's going to repent of all his sins, a bit like Scrooge. And to a degree, that happens, But right at the end, Christmas comes right at the end.
Yeah, it's
he
very
wants
subdued.
to end up his life. The crazy dude comes down, Clarence the angel, and he grants him his wish of, I wish I was never born. And that happens, and he sees what life would have been. And yeah, I mean, I was very surprised that they hold that out so much, and was intriguing to think that the way the film is structured, that we had to undergo all that journey with him, seeing him do all those good deeds, and in the process sacrifice himself, his ego, to be in there and see his struggle, for then the finale to be Christmas time and the time of giving, and he can't give to his family. The only way he sees fit to do so is to kill himself.
Yeah, it's striking how long it takes to get to that point. Actually,
Yeah, striking. I was
it's like an hour and 20 minutes almost.
But it's very direct. It's like it's a kids film, and they're just talking about suicide. It's like casually.
Yeah,
I think it's fine.
And like seclusion of gay people, I think, in the film.
Wait,
because
when was that?
It's underlined. Don't you are you not seeing the scene?
No, I'm not.
I mean,
remembering.
I suppose it is. I mean, that's what I read with the word pixies, because you have Nick when he's back at the bar and he reunites with his friend Nick, who is the bartender, and he's serving drinks, and he's with Clarence, and Clarence is the one who is more loopy, kind of up in the clouds. And what I'm reading at first, I think, well, and you have James Stewart looking at Clarence and say, "Quiet down, Clarence. You look a little bit strange." And I thought, okay, maybe they are going to put him apart because he's cuckoo, but it feels at the end that it's because supposedly the bartender thinks they're gay, calls them pixies, throw them out. So
Pixies, I mean, at
it
first it's just
I think pixies is a derogative term for that. I don't know, like fairy.
But it's a Christmas creature, sort of like a how do you say? I mean,
No, but I think the bartender meant it in a
yeah,
homophobic
yeah,
way.
I think so
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
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 I
I
think
think
so
so.
too. Yeah, and there's a difference between I wouldn't say homophobia, but this sort of discrimination in films and just portraying characters that have these attitudes. So I mean, I don't think necessarily follows that because the film is from 1946 that this is a direct thing of Capra and the writers to try to approach. I mean,
It just suddenly it felt like that because of the word he used and because of Jimmy Stewart adverting his fellow to not look like that. And I thought, what is going on? So I that was the impression, but it's fine as well that perhaps he didn't meant that. What I find interesting in these earlier films is that normally people seem so plastic in classic Hollywood and so good at heart and oh these traditional roles of the man of the family, chief of the house, the wife cooking, and the children all happy running around the yard, the suburbia, and then within that image of classic Hollywood, it seems that there's a fragility there to that image because when the possibility comes of George never have been born, he misses people again, and they really seem like horrible people. Like you stop seeing that image that you so easily associate with perhaps Douglas Sirk's melodramas, where everybody seems sweet and nice in a way. Um, and you see another aspect of it. I mean, Nick is just horrible. I just thought it was just he was so lovely before, and all the other friends, and suddenly that sense of community was lost. And I think that's where the film really started to be interesting for me because I was like Miguel. I wasn't picking it up. I wasn't finding it, despite some interests here and there, like in terms of mise en scène. It wasn't something that I was connecting with until that curse happened, and I really started to feel the contrast between what was before and the now.
yeah, I get that, but I think it doesn't necessarily mean that because the characters suddenly were mean that there was an attempt to portray that. I mean, I think if suddenly George is a stranger to these people, then it's normal that people are gonna act a bit more coldly with him.
Wait a minute. What are you saying? What did you think that I said right now? Like you said like.
That basically said that after the curse,
Mm-hmm.
you see different
Oh
sort of
no, of course.
relationship.
I know. Like I know that they're acting like that because to them he's acting all strange and lunatic like because where do I know you from? I get that, but it's just the fact you're knowing that you're meant to feel like this is a cruelty because this guy you're behind him. He's the protagonist. He's the lead. So you
Ah, yeah, of course.
throughout the whole journey of him having seen that when this happens to him, you can't stop feeling that they are being cruel, even if the newer context is he never existed.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, sure. You definitely feel the cruelty, but I mean, at the same time, it's justifiable. I mean,
Oh yeah, it's just yeah. It's just, but that's the thing. That's why it's so dramatic, in terms of it, the carrying on tension because you have those both sides going on, and you're constantly feeling how is this going to get solved? How is this going to get solved?
mm.
And James Stewart does not stop. He needs to go everywhere to everyone. Where's Mary? I gotta find Mary. He goes to Mary. Where's my mom? I got to find mom. He goes to mom. Where's Nick? I gotta find Nick. Where's the taxi driver? Stop. Listen to fucking Clarence.
I
He just
mean,
needs
at
to get
at
it.
that point, I mean, I probably would have thought that Clarence was in my mind,
Was
and I
right.
was going crazy. I mean,
He even goes so far as saying, "I know what this is. You are an hypnotist, dude." He's an angel. Just accept it.
It's very obvious, man.
It's very obvious. I mean, we all have come across angels.
It's the most angel-looking man.
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't. I mean, in terms of scripts, I think it's very well structured, and I mean, I understand why we took like an hour and 20 minutes to get to the curse. But at the same time, still it feels somewhat rushed towards the end of that sort of act two where he kills himself, because it feels like it doesn't really go with the character. I mean, it seems like a whole turn of events a whirlwind of events and kills himself doesn't really seem appropriate. I mean, I don't think he would have done that. Maybe
Yeah, you
it's
know why
just
to
me.
me is because sometimes the film is very obvious in its heavy-handed way in which it wants itself to work,
Yeah,
and uses mechanisms where what people say. I mean, when he's lying there in front of Mr. Porter and he's asking for money, and he basically says the thing that we already know, which because he starts saying about, oh, my life insurance, I have it, it's not whatever dollars, and he says, oh my god, you are. I mean, I've already made the, because at the end, at the beginning of the film, you say he's gonna die. Just let him say that his insurance is this and that, and later on, I just show me visually him changing, shifting in his head about the decision of I'm gonna kill myself. But no, what they decide to do is having Potter say, "You are more worth dead than alive," and then Jim Stewart looks at him, and I'm like, but
Oh,
this
that's
thing happens
fine.
more than once.
That's a good scene. You're crazy.
No, I think no, it's not the scene itself. Is the fact that it becomes a bit obvious, and it happens more than once, where people say things and let them the reality become obvious, like intention. I don't know.
I guess. I thought it was fine.
I mean, the very end with the whole reunion and everyone pitching in with money. I mean, that felt a
Yeah,
little
that was like,
too happy, jolly, fun.
yeah, I agree. But then I was like, most I assume most of them know that he like was trying to kill himself.
That's an interesting angle. I didn't.
If you are this important for the community,
Yeah.
I don't think it's that crazy that everyone was like, okay, let me give him some money because I don't want him to fucking die. Like, I don't want him to kill himself. You know,
I do get the reactions.
the cop was, I think it was a cop. He saw him by the bridge,
Right.
and so like the people talk. I assume everybody then.
Yeah, because we remember the wife on the phone, right? When he leaves and he says, "Go pray for daddy," while I'm on the phone. So when she was on the phone, I guess she's calling everyone.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Imagine that phone call. Imagine that phone call. Yeah, like at midnight, Christmas night, a woman calls you on the other line and says, "Good God, give me money because my husband is on the bridge. He's gonna kill himself." And I'm like, what is your response? Like it's like, sure.
I'm just looking at the turkey. I don't know who this is. I mean, I get the reactions. It's just the overall way the scene is structured. I think, with everyone coming in and everyone sort of escalates between level of of money that they give or the importance of the character, and everyone is smiling. It's like suddenly they remember this. It's a Christmas film, and it just threw it all in. All the
And then
Christmas
they
spirit.
throw in the song. Like
Yeah.
you already are okay. There's just one final touch to wrap up this present. It's the song, and they start with the accordion singing there in the living room, and Jim Stewart has the biggest smile I've ever seen him give. So,
But not the daughter. She's not playing the piano, I think.
no, she's not. But,
But
there's a man with an
I half
instrument in the
expected
crowd.
that to happen.
She
Suddenly,
sucks.
the
I
daughter.
see.
She's terrible.
But in that scene, she would ace it. She would really play
She would
well.
really ace it, like, and suddenly, look, Daddy, now I know. Oh, lovely, lovely, like just some kind of line.
That's what that scene needed.
It's still in the line of becoming obvious. In that same scene happens something that I thought, oh, come on, really? That is just hammering in because he looks at the bell, a bell goes, makes the sound.
No, that was okay.
But the thing, I'm not criticizing the fact that that is there and happens. I'm criticizing the way it's delivered and given to us. It's the fact that people have to say the things that we already know, like bell jingles, and okay, the guy looks at it and he knows, and we know what he's thinking. But the daughter has to say, "Oh, every time a bell goes, an angel wins his wings," and I'm like, "Come on,
Come on.
And then to give him a book, and the book gives the message of the film, like the final morale, and I'm like, "Come on, don't do this to me." It's like we
Hey.
know this.
It's a family film. I don't even find
The film
that
sometimes gets a bit, in certain moments, I think gets a bit hammering in the message.
Yeah, maybe. But there are
Yeah,
also really good pieces of dialogue. I think at the bar after the Clarence and James Stewart leave, I think the bartender says something like, "I'm giving out wings" or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like he meant the food, but
opening and closing the, that was kind of cashier.
But then it was an interesting moment because they already left the bar, and Copper returns inside just for that line of the bartender, which is a completely secondary character. But it's like this moment of side story where he just wants to add something in. Yeah, like in theater where you just have a character speaking to the audience.
In that respect, you have something happening in this film which is quite new. I never saw this in, what is this, a 40s film? So 46, 47, that's when
46, yeah.
yeah. Which is kind of this meta approach to it right at the beginning of the film, where you travel. Well, first of all, I think the film opens with these houses in the snow, and you see the lights inside of them. It's a man who's going to kill himself, and you have this ongoing voiceover of God and Joseph and the other angels trying to find where is the main character, George, and explaining that he's going to die and they need the help of somebody to call Clarence the angel. And you go up to the skies, to space, and you find them. And it's kind of this mix between live action animation that I find interesting in these films. But it feels very still, it's not very, well, it doesn't have a flow, right? You see the stars and it's just, it's a fixed image, not really robust in terms of the animation, and just have the glow of it. And there's some kind, I think other animations in the 40s, 50s were like this, where the flow of the movement wasn't as developed yet, and so you have these just you get these little stars just glowing and with the voices of the voice actors, and in the sense of faking it, the fakery in it, and the sense of the make believe of it because it's so rudimentary is interesting to me.
I actually enjoyed that sort of fakeness. It seems like a sort of magical
Exactly, I think
Christmas
it's
thing.
even more magical because it's not perfect, and it does something in the sense of the meta, which is there's a freeze frame when you finally see George Bailey, adult self. He's explaining something to another character. I remember it's in some kind of shop, and it's just the shot freezes, and you have Clarence and the other angel Joseph, talking about this is George Bailey, adult self. So, oh, okay, this is actually pretty interesting. I've never seen this happen in well, in a 40s film, in a film of the era. I mean, you normally associate, although it's not as daring as that, you normally associate voiceover and being self-referential in terms of the characters and their story to things that have happened today. In nowadays, I think that has gotten a return because of Deadpool, that he talks about himself, he freeze frames and all, and then from then on you get Phoebe Waller-Bridge in Fleabag talking to the camera, turning to the camera. Well, in this situation, you don't really have that because George never does that, but it's somehow
plenty
close
plenty
enough.
of shows
Yeah,
have done that. House of
it's
Cards also.
it's a pretty common.
The Office as well, in a way, but The Office, they accept the fact they are being filmed by camera crew, so it's.
I mean, but
slightly.
Ferris Bueller Day Off does that
Oh
too.
yeah, true,
And it's from
true.
the 80s. I think it's a pretty common thing to be self-referential. But yeah, in the 40s didn't happen like that. Yeah.
It just feels like somehow nowadays people woke up to the fact that, oh man, this is cool because of Deadpool. That's what I feel like. They forget that it had happened before. That's the sense I get. Like Deadpool is this big thing when he come out just because the guy's talking to the camera and he's making quips. That's what I felt
Even
like.
the
This has
elements in
happened
the
before.
beginning of the different people of the town praying, and you go from prayer to prayer, like you don't really know what they're saying at first, but then you understand that they're praying. It's something that other films have tended to replicate afterwards. They begin like that.
The kid at the beginning, the young George Bailey, is an amazing actor.
Yeah, he's really good.
A very cute kid, and he looks like a young Montgomery Clift. I
Yeah.
was even
Yeah,
I went and
true.
searched. Is he Montgomery Clift? No, it's
No.
an
in
James
46.
Oh yeah, true. 46, he would be around. Yeah, but he just looked like he had a face that resembled to me. So
Yeah, but it's true. It's a very striking face.
and yeah, every which one of us was like, "Oh my god, such a striking face."
A strong face.
And I mean, just the way he delivers I think it's such a powerful scene when the old man who has just lost his son and he was working there at the shop is mixing up the pharmaceuticals. Is mixing up the medicine for someone else in the town, and he puts the poison there. and he starts slapping him around, and he's crying, and you believe it. It's like, oh my god, he sells it so well, and you're seeing all of this through shelves. It's like almost a crime. That's something that you shouldn't see. This elderly guy just smacking him around, and his ear bleeding. Very
Powerful scene.
gruesome.
And then when it comes back later, that, because George wasn't there, so the guy went to jail and went crazy and all that. It's like very interesting to see. It's also funny, like that he has a bottle with the label poison. The
Yeah,
classic movie
yeah.
tropes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even we were talking about the structure and the film being unique, but even then it reminds me of the Lubitsch film, the Evan Can Wait. I think you've seen it much.
Oh yeah.
Which is also that structure of looking back at someone's life and seeing, in Evan Can Wait it is more seeing their wrongs, whereas here you're seeing why the
It's
person
good.
is so good and important to the community.
I think in this film they could have made it more clear, perhaps, I'm not sure, but that things that didn't happen because George wasn't alive were particularly damaging or negative in some way. I think, in a sense, they just showed that things were different, not exactly that they were negative. So, I mean, I felt the weight of the absence of George in a sense, but at the same time, it didn't feel absolutely strange. I mean, it was, I don't know. That's my opinion, but I mean,
I don't know. The town seems to be transforming into an exploitative thing, like the whole bars things. Maybe the insinuation of strip clubs. I don't know. There was the Violet Big girl who somehow I think.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, the one that I'm like, who cares, is the wife. She's just like, they call her a spinster, which means like she's a woman who didn't get married. It's like,
Uh,
who cares? Oh, she goes to the library.
yeah. I don't know if that was intended as a bad thing. It's just to say she followed a life without you. Basically,
I
that's
mean,
not
yeah,
bad or
but I
good thing.
think, I don't know. It feels a bit because spinster is like it's a mean word. It's not a.
So just before we were talking about in the 40s how gays were viewed, and now we're talking in the 40s how librarians were viewed.
It's
Like,
not
he's
librarians.
a
It's how
librarian.
no. It's how women were viewed. You had to
Yeah,
get married, otherwise your
of course, yeah.
life was less. Yeah, I think it's Clarence who says it, like, "Oh, your wife is a spinster" or something like that. It's just like it's such a weird,
Yeah.
it's such a thing of the time.
yeah, and it's an angel. It's an angel saying that.
Yeah, but yeah, it is a very you know American film in the
Yeah,
way that they view small businesses as the backbone of American economy, and like the most important values are rooted in that. And when George Bailey goes away, so the small businessman goes away, all you have left is this big guy, the guy who wants to have a monopoly on every single business, which is Potter. And so the town becomes more, meaner, I
Cold.
guess,
Hmm.
colder, more modern. But yeah, it's the Capra film that I have in mind. I haven't watched others.
This is actually my first one too, so yeah. I know that, a friend of ours, João, really
Hmm.
likes this,
Yeah,
Frank Capra.
yeah, I like him
So,
too.
it's a very American dream film.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Everything, the ambience, the
Yeah, the
mood.
ambience, the mood, the community, but everything is like sort of still rooted and around business relationships. It's strange.
Yeah. I mean, following what I was saying, in terms of not really feeling that negativity so much, as I just felt a bit of difference that he wasn't there, is also because you see that through very quick reactions in the encounters that James Stewart has with the people. It's like he meets someone, he shakes them, what the hell is happening, something, and then moves on to the next, and it just these little moments following one after the other. So I mean, perhaps if it was more than half an hour for that third act, I think we could have delved a bit more into the each thing. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But I think like the two things that are most obviously, they're saying the town is worse without them is the Mr. Gower, which is the guy who poisons the person and then goes crazy, and the fact that his brother dies because he wasn't there.
Yeah, that's those are the two admittedly bad things.
Yeah, I think those are the two things, as far as I can remember. Maybe there are others.
Yeah, but I mean, sure, but his concern is always what is happening. It's like he continuously asks himself if that's real. Whether I think that he should have just dealt with the issues themselves. Like he lost his brother now, so in what way does that change him? And I don't think that was really explored as much as okay, it was a striking thing, it caused a reaction in him, but then he just moves on because he still doesn't believe that that's real.
But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you would do that though, because
Yeah.
like it is fake in the sense that there's an angel there.
Yeah, it's complicated. How would you react? So it's really a question of how many houses will I visit to explain.
Yeah, the whole condos, the whole fucking village.
Yeah, how many people will I tick the box to really because as a writer who I don't know if Capra wrote this, but the thing is, you're asking yourself, I mean, if I was in his position, I wouldn't believe this guy is an angel sent from heaven to save me. He's a lunatic.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm going to, my first reaction is to go to as many people that I need to kind of, and even when it all seems that it is wrong and strange, you live on another hypothesis, which is hypnosis. So maybe he does have to go to everyone. Maybe it needs to be that extreme. But I sympathize with the idea that it is strange that he witnesses all these things that should tell him that Clarence is right, and he doesn't even try and talk with Clarence.
Mhm.
Just have a moment with Clarence
Just have a
before
moment.
you.
Okay, let me just
ignoring.
tell me what's happening, really, please.
Yeah.
I get.
Let's
But
have
I
a
like the
break,
point.
you know?
The point is not to make him like it's just to show him what life would be without him. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I think the job is done. Like I get. Because
Yeah,
like he
yeah, I
doesn't
guess.
need to feel like, oh, my brother is dead or whatever. Because like he isn't dead. Like he's just seeing a reality in which he is dead.
But he doesn't
The-
know that, the point
yeah,
of...
obviously, because he's going crazy, but he thinks he's going crazy, but he still sees what reality would be without him. In the sense that, like, if you were imagine, okay, what would my life be?
No, I get your point. That's what Clarence is doing to him, but
Yeah.
I don't think he is processing the fact that this is kind of a simulation, let's say. And that Clarence has the power to do this, Click is,
I think he's interpreting it more as a fake scenario than as actual reality.
I know. I feel like he's going through the motions and he's not believing it. He's just reacting off what reality is.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
But he's not even thinking this is fake. He's just it's like he's so adrenaline filled and accelerated that these very raw things are being presented to him that he cannot process. He's not stopping himself to actually have a conversation with this angel. So it's not like,
All right.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you can't ask him to stop and just
You wanted them
be
to
calm.
go have a beer. All right.
have a beer. Yes. Proper talk. Don't
proper
like every
talk.
time that Clarence tries to advise him, it's like, but I need to find my wife. Where's Mary? Tell me where's Mary.
Mary.
It's just, there he goes.
And that reminded me
Yeah,
of
yeah, I
that
get that.
scene where Clarence sort of evaporates from the cop's hands.
Oh,
And
yeah, yeah.
instead of the cop having a mental breakdown, he just, where did he go? I mean,
Where did he go?
clearly a
that's
man
acceptable.
just disappeared.
Like some Disney cartoon.
How strange.
And Clarence is not really that all powerful. It's like, Joseph, and then he needs somebody to evaporate him.
But still, it's a very effective film, and
It's a film that is like perfect to be rewatched every year around Christmas. You know.
Yeah, it has its place.
Yeah. Like I think on a rewatch it's more powerful once you already know the film
Yeah.
and what the point is.
Because it can be very heavy, I think, the whole business and loan, relationship with the other businessman, and it gets heavy on you in terms of, okay, I've seen this type of situation with a character that doesn't feels misplaced in life, who like to go on with his life and leave the small town. Yeah. So I feel like throughout the film I'm saying a lot of yeah, like nodding with my head until the phenomenon happens, and then I start to really get in with the character and feeling his pain.
Yeah,
And
it's a bit.
when
It's
did
certainly.
dialogues lose those expressions of like I say, and then they follow with what they're gonna say,
I say we go.
or I tell you I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, when they start sentences with why, just why
Yeah,
as like an exp. It doesn't mean any.
Yeah.
It's a why. Why? I don't know. Why do you mean that? Why?
I'm gonna find my wife. I tell you.
I tell
I
you.
I
tell you.
tell
I
you.
tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an endearing. It's heavy-handed for sure, but I think it's built that way to be enjoyed by the widest, from 2 years old to 200 years old.
Yeah.
Everybody can get it.
And it fell on public domain, so you can
Yeah,
broadcast
yeah,
it without
true.
any,
Yeah, yeah, which
problemos.
very interesting. That's how it. I don't know if that's how, but I suppose it is how it became a classic because it was easy to. You didn't have to pay the rights for it, so you just put it on the TV, and then over time it became a classic, which is
Hmm.
sort of makes you think that maybe copyright, like the way that copyright law functions, where it's like it's always owned by someone, and then nobody sees the films because you have to pay to the guy or whatever. Like sometimes after a certain amount of time, just put it into the public domain, I suppose. Like
Yeah, you have to wait 70 years until the guy dies, until the author dies.
after no, the guy dies, and then you wait 70
Yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
guy dies and in 70
exactly.
years onwards.
Which is insane. It's like it's a lot of time. It doesn't need to be that long. I mean, it's that way because of Disney, I think, but assholes.
Disney specifically?
Yeah,
What
they
Disney
keep
made the
like
copyright laws?
Disney lobbies the government to up to like to make it larger. It used to be, I think, 25
Mm.
years. Then it was 50, and now recently, I think a few years ago, it was amended to 70. Just because like
Jesus Christ.
a lot of Disney's IP would be public domain by now because it has been more than 25 years that Walt Disney died. It has been more than 50 years that he died.
Mm.
And a lot of the it's not Walt Disney actually, it's like the authors who made certain characters.
Yeah.
But like Mickey Mouse, it was Walt Disney and it would be public domain by now. And I don't think it is yet.
I mean that happens also in with music and sheet music. So I don't know if it's 70 years, but it's a bit sad that it happens across the arts, and it's
We
that
only
it's so
have
long.
Mozart and Beethoven.
Yeah, all those guys are
Yeah.
free by
The
now.
thing is like if somebody records it, that's their recording. So you're not
Oh,
paying
yeah.
for the composition, you're paying for the recording. Which
Yeah,
then
in that
like that's
case, yeah.
fair. Like if you record it in 2019 and immediately people start using it in films without permission, I get that.
But you can, as the musician, make your own interpretation, record it, and sell it, and no problemo. No?
I
Yeah,
mean,
sure, but I
yeah, of
mean,
course.
On the end of the musician, but on the end of the customer, you are buying the recording of the musician. So
but I mean,
then, that
but at the end of the
becomes.
day, I mean, recorders and interpreters, that's still how they make money with
Yeah, yeah.
recordings.
I'm
It's
saying
not
from
because
the angle of the client, the customer buying the album, whatever, where you have music played by someone else, music of Beethoven played by a musician. Yeah, you need to pay because it's that music played by him.
Yeah, of
He
course.
holds the
yeah,
rights.
yeah,
But from the point of view of the musician, when he goes in and plays the music, he doesn't have to answer to anybody. I presume he doesn't have to answer to Mozart.
No.
Uh,
No,
no,
of
Mozart
course
by
not.
now, no.
No,
yeah,
no, yeah,
yeah. But for
exactly.
example, nowadays, if you look at more modern situations, if I go in and I want to make a cover of, I don't know, Queen, I have to deal with somebody about
Yeah,
that,
yeah, exactly.
So
Which is, I don't know.
It's just
I feel
it is so long. It's not that it needs to happen, but 70 years, it's so long.
it's like if you wanna. I feel like I don't know what would be the cutoff, but like Queen, if you wanna do your own version, I feel like it's been enough time. But I get it that they're super popular, so there's money, and they're still alive, so I guess that's different. But I don't know if you wanna
yeah.
like do your own version of. I don't even. I was gonna say like Dean Martin or Frank. What's his name? God damn it. Yeah, Dean Martin and those
And
guys.
Sinatra?
Frank Sinatra, exactly. I was gonna say them,
What's
but
his name? That guy?
that guy. Yeah, no, he's great. He's great. I love him. But even them, like they were the songs they were singing weren't theirs. They were singing like traditional songs most of the time and doing their own interpretations. So it doesn't apply.
But I mean, the tragic thing is that often with really known artists wanting other artists' songs, they probably just talk it out and ends up being super easy.
Yeah.
It's with the little guys that
Yeah,
things
yeah,
get
exactly.
complicated, which is ironic
Yeah,
and sad.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's much easier for a small band to get fucked over by some other band or or a studio using their song in a movie or something like that. They don't have the lawyers.
Yeah.
Lawyer up, bitch. They can't.
Oh my god, yeah. Horrible. What, you use my music? Lawyer up, bitch. Big time.
Big time.
In America, you better lawyer up.
I'm not coming for 11%. I'm coming for everything.
It's not like in Portugal where the process just goes on and on. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get my lawyer, yeah. You wait for my lawyer.
I mean, everywhere it takes a long ass time, I think.
Take a long time, yeah.
Just a very tedious process.
Very American seems like if you do something, oh boy, you better get. I'm gonna go to jail. I'm gonna fucking put you on parole, like on death penalty. Get there.
If you're in the United States, you don't want to get involved with justice. I mean, that's
Yeah, exactly. Just
stay out. Don't even.
What are you saying, Mike? Are you saying you are a criminal? Are you saying on record that you?
Show me your computer right now. How many torrented films do you have? What are you in for?
This is still Portugal, a free state, man.
The free state of Portugal.
I remembered a shot that I really liked, which kind of connects with Maj's thing of being meta, because it's like Jimmy Stewart leaving the house and then looking at the camera really slowly. It's a really close up of him, and it's a really interesting shot. And he, completely tilts towards the camera and looks it in the eye. It was a very interesting shot. Yeah, one of the better ones.
I don't remember the context of it though.
It's during the curse thing already, and it's like I think him leaving the house, seeing that nothing's there, and then coming into the street.
Yeah. It's like a realization.
There's a very good shot of him by the train when he receives the news that his brother is married and has a job, and him realizing it, where with a slow pan, kind of the people go away, like his brother, his wife are talking with his uncle Billy, and then the camera just slowly stays on him. There's a pan left to right, and it's just the change of focus of that perception staying on him, everything else getting blurry. Sweet, amazing.
I mean, yeah, that's a moment where you were complaining about things being spelled out sometimes. I think in that moment it's like a perfect balance where it's very clear, but it's not spelled out. Where you see his thought process, you see what he's. It's very obvious, like he's realizing that, it's not gonna happen.
It's not hammered in. I think hammered in moments are throughout the film a little bit peppered throughout, but it's not every scene. Their scenes are pretty interesting. I like the fact that the house they end up in is that wrecked house they themselves, when they were teens, were throwing stones at, and it ends up being something that out of ugliness becomes something sweet and beautiful, and all family together. They refurbish the house.
True. I mean, yeah, it's a very strong film about just people sometimes need reassurance that they matter. Yeah, they matter. Your existence has a positive effect on the people around you, and it's a film that translates that into images, and you see it how life is worth living, man.
Exactly. And by the end of it, I learned a great lesson, which is, without me, you two would be just horrible
People. I would
You would be a drug addict.
I would
No, Leo, you would be a librarian.
I would be an unmarried librarian. I would be having the worst time of my life, reading books and being unmarried.
Well, a spinster librarian, nonetheless. I would reunite with you, shake you like, "What are you doing? Come back to my life, marry me." I mean, the lesson itself is it's funny because you can't. I was watching the film and I was looking at it from an egotistical angle. Oh my God, the people! If I didn't exist, if I did not exist, there would just be a loss in the world. It would be horrible. I am amazing. This is the lesson I take.
That is a very like classic thing, which is like, I want to see how people behave in my funeral. I want to see them cry.
Yes.
The sequel of this film is just Jimmy Stewart being an ass to his family. You understand that if I was alive, you wouldn't do this.
Do you understand?
Is it with Clarence? It's like, holy shit, I'm really important. I didn't realize it. He was literally the backbone of that community. It crumbled without him.
Yeah.
That's all for today. If you'd like to reach out and suggest a film for the next episode, you can find us on a podcast, official Instagram and Facebook pages. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, or simply give us a like. That's how our podcast can grow ever more groovy. Thanks for listening and see you next time.
And have a nice Christmas.
Ho ho ho.
Merry Christmas to you all.